So last we left off, they have just learned to make sacrifices to God. If even Lilith fought, who would win? I don't know. Lilith's not even in this. Lilith is from Jewish folklore, and this was probably written by a Christian. If there are plot holes, I know. Anyway, so Adam and Eve have just learned to make sacrifices. Oh, also, the last chapter started with Satan just straight up stabbing Adam while he was trying to make a sacrifice. Adam died, but as usual, God sent his word to bring Adam back to life. They went out to their field to, do the farming stuff, and they fell asleep under a tree, but, quote, a multitude of beasts came all around them. It was Satan's doing, in his wickedness, in order to wage war against Adam through marriage. Satan marries Adam. Marriage here is a euphemism. And the beasts were not animals. When we start the next chapter, chapter 70, it's just Satan and two others in the form of angels. So I think the term beasts, either the author forgot when he finished that chapter and then just put something else in, I wouldn't be surprised, or he meant beasts like beasts of hell. Metaphor. So there are Satan and two others in the form of angels, and they're specifically the angels that had brought Adam and Eve the gold and incense and myrrh that God had given them when they asked for some tokens of the garden just for comfort, and he sent angels to go get those things and bring them back. So Satan and his buddies have taken the form of the angels that went to bring them gifts. Satan, by the way, it explicitly says Satan is the tallest one. I don't know why that's important, but it was important enough that the book explicitly says so I figured I'd pass that knowledge on to you. Adam and Eve, as usual, are fooled and super happy to see these angels that previously brought them gifts. And Satan, in the form of an angel, was like, hey, Adam, we have good news from God. And Adam's like, what is it? And Satan goes, oh, it's nothing too crazy, but first you have to promise to listen and do it. You're 8'11". Is your heart okay? Also your legs. Robert Wadlow. That's how tall he was when he died. And if you won't do that, we'll just go back to God and tell him that you wouldn't receive his word. But don't worry, it's us. It's the angels. You know us, right? All right, so anyone who has been to like 3rd grade will probably know this trick. But Adam has not been to 3rd grade. He's like, chronologically, according to this book, he's like 4 months old. So he's like, you know us, right? And Adam's like, I do not know you. And Satan's like, were the angels that brought you the gold and incense and myrrh. And that gets Adam to believe them, and he's like, all right, tell me what it is, I'll do it. And Satan's like, you have to promise to do it. Pinky swear. Again, if you've been to 3rd grade, you probably know. Never make a promise to do something without finding out what it is, right? You gotta read the contract before you sign it, but there are no contracts in existence yet. Adam is the first person on earth, and he is clearly no lawyer. So Satan's like, pinky swear, and Adam's like, what's a pinky swear? Okay, they didn't pinky swear, but Satan does make him shake hands on it. He makes him repeat like he's being sworn in court. So true as God is living, rational, and speaking, who raised the heavens in the space and established the earth upon the waters and has created me out of the 4 elements. In the 6th century, they didn't really have the periodic table. And has created me out of the 4 elements and out of the dust of the earth. I will not break my promise nor renounce my word. So Satan just makes him swear to God that he will do whatever Satan in the form of an angel, because he doesn't know it's Satan, that he will do whatever this angel tells him to do next. Read the contract before you sign it. I thought that Satan was gonna like make him swear to do something really awful like murder or whatever, but all he says is, quote, lo, it is now some time since thou camest out of the garden, and thou knowest neither wickedness nor evil. But now God says to thee, to take Eve, who came out of thy side, and to wed her, that she bear thee children, to comfort thee, and to drive from thee trouble and sorrow. Now this thing is not difficult, neither is there any scandal in it to thee. I was under the impression that getting married was like encouraged in most sects of Christianity. Granted, some of them believe celibacy to be holier, but like holy matrimony implies approval. In Mormonism, you have to be married to get into ultimate heaven. I'm pretty sure that marriage is a good thing in most Christian churches. Like I said, it's a euphemism. I'm just gonna tell you now, whenever they say marriage, wedding, they just mean have sex. I don't think that they wanted to get that spicy in this book. Yes, Satan likes to talk. He's causing lots of problems by talking. I know the drill. I've caused problems by talking too, although usually I'm not trying to like kill people, so We differ in that. Adam does seem to feel that this thing is difficult and scandalous. He is very upset and says, quote, "Shall I commit adultery with my flesh and my bones? And shall I sin against myself for God to destroy me and to blot me out from off the face of the earth? Since when at first I ate of the tree, he drove me out of the garden into this strange land and deprived me of my bright nature." The bright nature, they've been saying that a bit throughout the book, just means like their immortal, more than mortal nature that they had in the Garden of Eden, where they didn't need to eat or drink water or anything like that, "and brought death upon me. If then I should do this, he will cut off my life from the earth, and he will cast me into hell, and will plague me there a long time." Adam is not looking forward to hell. I'm impressed that he just barely learned how to eat food, but he does know what this particular sin is. They got Fortnite. No. I'm confused. "And will plague me there a long time. But God never spoke the words thou hast told me, and ye are not God's angels, nor yet sent from him, but ye are devils, come to me under the false appearance of angels. Away from me, ye cursed of God." You know, that's better than his usual track record. Usually he is entirely fooled by Satan until Satan, like, murders him. So, he realized it at some point. Not before he made the oath, though. It's an improvement, and I'm proud of him. He rebukes Satan. He's like, "Go away," and Adam and Eve go back to the cave. Adam tells Eve, "If you saw what I did, don't talk about it. I really messed up." Eve doesn't know what's going on with him, but she listens. She doesn't say anything about it. I'm glad I have the right to eat apples. Apples are nice. Meanwhile, I don't know what Eve is doing during this time, again, but Adam spends the next 40 days and 40 nights crying and praying, which, I mean, that's not that different from how they usually are. I don't know if she just stands there and stares at him while he does that, or if she prays with him, because usually they pray morning and night. But who knows? He does that for 40 days and 40 nights until he collapses from hunger and thirst. Been through this, guys. You know how to eat now. God sends the word to bring him back to life again. Has the number? Yes! Second only to the number 7. He brings him back to life, and the word is like, "Hey, Adam, why did you swear by my name and make an agreement with Satan?" God knows what he did. And Adam's like, "I didn't mean to. I thought they were angels." At least he realized at some point this time, and God forgives him. He's been praying for forgiveness for the last 40 days until he literally died. God forgives him and is like, "Watch out for Satan, man, okay?" Which he's been telling them repeatedly, and they fall for it every time. Adam feels better, though, because now he's forgiven, and he and Eve go to make some food, because now he knows how to make bread. He learned that a couple chapters ago. Very proud. He's still freaking out about this whole fact that he swore to, marry Eve thing. Again, no word on how Eve feels about this, or if Eve knows what's going on. Adam, just having learned how to make bread, knows what this act is. And he's like, God is going to be so mad if I do this. I am not allowed to do this. He doesn't tell Eve. He and Eve just go hang out on the bank of the river, quote, "as people do when they enjoy themselves." That is not a euphemism. They're vibing on the bank of the river. They're relaxing. Quote, "But Satan was jealous of them and would destroy them." How did I find this story? I have a weird interest in the history of religions. Despite not being religious, I find it fascinating. So I was reading through sacredtexts.com. It's a great website. It has like an archive of like all the religious texts. And I happened upon this and I started reading it and I was like, I gotta show everybody on Twitch this. Chapter 72. Satan and 10 of his hosts, they're in costume again, they now transform themselves into maidens, more beautiful than any others in the whole world. Which I guess is just Eve. That's not very nice. They're good looking, is the point. While like Adam and Eve are just hanging out on the bank of the river, they make a very dramatic entrance by coming up out of the river. And Adam and Eve are like, is there another world with hot people under the river? They do not notice that it's Satan again. To be fair, I also have a hard time using logic when in the presence of hot people, so I kind of get it. Straight up, they're like, is there under us another world with such beautiful creatures as these in it? Is there another world full of hot people? The demons, dressed as beautiful women, are like, yes, there are tons of hot people like us. And Adam is like, how'd you get so many hot people? Like, there's only 2 of us. How do you have so many people? And the maidens are like, we have husbands who wedded us. And we have kids who grow up and also have kids, and so on and so forth. Here, We'll prove it. Quote, then they shouted over the river as if to call their husbands and their children. And a bunch of people, indeed, come up out of the river. Adam and Eve are struck speechless, processing this. And the maidens go like, see? Husbands and children. Wed Eve as we wed our wives, and you shall have children the same as we. I imagine Eve is just like lost right now, but she doesn't question it. I don't know why the maidens are saying as we wed our wives. Because I'm pretty sure this author doesn't know that lesbians exist, because he's still kind of trying to grasp the whole women exist thing. So I don't know if that's just a typo, or not a typo, a right-o. They didn't have typing in 6th century Egypt. That's not the worst plot hole so far, let's be honest, we'll just roll with it. It could also be a translation thing, because this is translated from a very old language. Anyway, the whole time Satan is plotting to get God to kill Adam by, you know, convincing him to sin. He's having a little aside here. And he's like, God said the forbidden fruit would make Adam die, but he didn't even kill him when he ate the fruit. He only said he would die someday. But if I can get him to, quote, wed Eve without God's commandment, God will kill him then.
What if I want to have sex before I get married?
Well, I guess you just have to be prepared to die.
So it's the same plan as before. And then, quote, the fire of sin came upon Adam, and he thought of committing sin. We all know what that means, okay? He resists, though, fearing lest if he followed this advice of Satan, God would put him to death. Adam and Eve just stand up and start praying, which is, I mean, historically, that's been a pretty good way to get rid of demons or people causing them trouble. So all the demons go back down into the river to, like, pretend they're going back to their own world of hot people under the river. And Adam and Eve go back to the cave in the evening. They say their nightly prayers, but even after they're done, Adam's still freaking out. He stays standing all night to try and figure out how to pray for help with this problem. He is still full of the fire of sin. He cannot stop thinking about it. Poor Adam is just experiencing the first pangs of hormones. We've all been there. I feel really bad for him, honestly. In the morning, he turns to Eve and he's like, hey, let's go back to the mountain and ask God for help with this matter. And Eve is like, what matter? Are you okay? What's going on? Because, you know, Eve is nice. I don't know if she has as much personality beyond that, but she doesn't know what's going on. She wants to make sure he's okay because he's been acting pretty stressed out. And Adam admits that, tortured by his own concupiscence, he's going to request the Lord to inform me about wedding thee, for I will not do it without his order, lest he make us perish, thee and me. For those devils have set my heart on fire with thoughts of what they showed us in their sinful apparitions, all those hot people. Eve is like, why do we need to go all the way up to the mountain? We can just pray right here. And Adam is like, good point. So he starts praying right there about the, quote, animal desires of a mortal body, and asks God to command them not to give way to these desires without his order. Quote, for if thou give us not the order, we shall be overpowered, and follow that advice of Satan, and thou wilt again make us perish. Or if not, to just kill them so they won't have this animal lust anymore. Or, if God doesn't want to give them any order, to at least separate him from Eve and place them far away from each other, so at least when Satan tempts them, they won't, like, make the other sin. Poor Adam is literally so titillated he wishes he were dead.